Welcome, welcome.
Come.
Oh, we're another
Greetings and
Monday.
salutations.
Sorry about Friday, but Joe, something
Oh.
came up, so we couldn't podcast. So,
Because that's the whole point.
yeah, pretty much. And so we will see
Yeah.
her in May unless something can be arranged before then, but I'm pretty sure it'll be May.
Yeah.
So I'm Liz, this is Therese, and our friend Caro's here.
Hello.
And
Hi,
if you're
Sparkle.
still knitting stripes, keep knitting
Sparkle,
stripes.
sparkle.
Yeah.
Sparkle, sparkle. I don't know when Joe's going to end the stripe thing now, probably beginning of May. So just keep knitting your stripes.
Just
I don't
knit.
know what that means. What are you talking about?
The stripey, the mayhem cow that she was doing where you knit stripes or crochet stripes or
Mhm.
so it was supposed
We
to
have
end
a knit along that we don't know a whole lot about.
because we're not in charge.
We're just here to do Joe's bidding.
I relate to this on a different level. For me, it's at work.
Well, it's her knit along, and it's hers and Morgan, and you knit stripes or crochet stripes or weave stripes or what have you, and she'll have prizes and pick names and all kind of stuff. So you actually get longer to do it now. So take it as a positive.
Yep.
And yeah. So sorry, I'm trying to do two things. Hey, everybody in the chat.
Hey, chat.
Neil couldn't make it. He's tired. I don't know what this whole different time zone thing.
Well, he did take a trip earlier in the week that he might still be recovering from.
He did.
Oh, did he have to drive a half hour?
Mhm.
He went to Birmingham. It was an overnight.
Oh, wow.
So that might knock him out for weeks. You don't know.
But he did discover his car has AC, so go Neil.
That's the first thing I look for in anything.
I know.
So-
Like, you didn't know it had AC. What did you think that button that said AC stands for? You didn't check to see if it worked when you bought it? Like,
That's the first
Then
thing
again-
I look for.
how often does he need to use it there, though? I mean, he hasn't had a car, so he hasn't realized the joy of sitting in your air-conditioned car when your house air conditioning isn't working.
Well, yeah, they don't have air conditioner in their houses either. So
Poor Neil getting roasted and not even here.
Oh, we roasted him in the chat, too.
Okay.
Well, he was roasting in his car, but
Oh, good one.
He was, in that terrible heat and all.
yeah, it was a whole.
I say this,
70
it's going to be
degrees.
90 this week here, so And Teresa's still got snow, so
No, it just slowed. It did, it just flurried, whatever. It didn't actually stick or anything, but it was bad enough. Is what I'm saying.
these are the things that make America great, people. Different weather fronts in different parts of the country.
No, snow does not make anything great.
Guess it is if you're a skier.
Why would you do that? You just break your bones.
Some people like to live dangerously.
Not me. I like it right in this room right now.
No skiing there.
We don't get a lot of snow in Texas, and when we do, it's
Not
gone.
a lot of hills in Texas.
Yeah.
That's true. We get snow in the mountains that we can see from my house. That's close enough. Travel Lori is on a transatlantic cruise and happy to be back. Oh, she just got off and is happy to be back. So yeah, she put some pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very cool.
adventures.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't go on adventures.
I'm going on one in a year, evidently. We'll see.
Yay. I wish I could go on. I would go on that for sure.
I wish you could go with me because then I'd have something I
my
could drink.
God. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Because there's people who might not think I was swell.
Well, last time I was told I was going to hell, so because I drank.
Oh.
So
Well, I'll bring the hand basket and
by
we'll both go.
8-year-old, by an 8-year or 9-year-old. So that was lovely.
9-year-old.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
It's a little early to be judgy, but okay.
Well, they were told that, and they were worried about me, so I don't blame them. It was truly out of concern because they believe the adults in their life. So
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? So hopefully, if we go on this cruise, it's leaving Vancouver in going through Alaska. I don't know if it's the Inland Passage cruise or not. I'll find out this weekend. But so I'm kind of excited. I've always wanted to go see Alaska.
What time of year is it?
May, and last week in May next year. So that should be fun.
I think so.
Kara, what have you been up to?
We haven't seen you in a minute.
Work. A lot of work. Yeah.
And
Yeah. My boss decided to start a new podcast for work. It's called Roundtable, where we talk about obviously like the stuff that we're putting out and the thought behind it and whatnot. And last week it was like the very first, it was like the maiden voyage. And I was like, damn right, I'm going to be there. Right. Just like I was for the start of this company.
right.
Yeah. So, no, it's been really busy today. Like, we were joking behind the scenes about like how, we're trying to figure stuff out. And, Therese was like, well, you could write a book about, you being part of Rippaverse. And I was like, yeah, it'd be called Pivot, because I have to pivot like all the time. Like I found out today that a thing that we were going to try and launch today isn't the thing that we're going to try and launch. We're going to launch a different thing, guys.
Oh, okay.
It's exciting.
That makes me think of that race you had to do in elementary school where you had to run down and pick up the block and turn around, run back real fast, and put it down and back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because most of my day was trying to find out what the new pivot thing was. I was like, so what's this thing that we're going to do? And it's like, oh, it's the thing I've been thinking about. I'm like, okay, cool. But what is it? 'Cause I have to write the copy.
It's a surprise.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know,
but you know what? How cool is it that you're that busy?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like if like, not that I would ever leave this job, but if I did and I went to another company, they would be like, so what would you say that your strength in the workplace is? And I was like, being able to change what I'm doing like that.
Yeah.
But I will say that my shirts came in. They're not mine. I didn't make them, but they're from my character. Look.
Cool.
Oh,
Look at my chest,
cool.
guys. Look at it.
Very cool.
It's my little
Hey,
spider,
look.
creepy monster. So.
Oh, Maggie said she was supposed to go on a glacier, but there was a bear eating a moose carcass. Well, I can guess that could stop you.
Wow, nature got in your way of being great, Maggie. I'm so sorry to hear that. You should have like glared at that bear and been like,
You get going.
Probably would have been totally distracted eating the moose.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. It's a long ways away, so
Yeah.
should be fun. And hopefully, might get to check out some yarn stores at some point. So
How long is the cruise?
a week.
I'm just thinking about you're planning your knitting,
Oh, I know. That's the dilemma. It's like I can get a lot done in a week if I'm ignoring people.
Oh, yeah.
It's important to establish dominance in Alaska. Yeah, I hear it's the same in Australia. And right now the animals are winning.
Aussie's got spiders, man. Like, I can't do that. You're like, go figure it out with a polar bear. I'll be like, man, I got that down. You're like, spiders. Like, I think I'll just stay with you.
Yeah, the spiders and the deadly snakes get me.
Mm-hmm. So I lived in like Arizona for 15 years, right? So usually the military rule is like when they're like, where are you from? It's like, where have I been the longest, right? So at this point it's Arizona. I lived there 15 years, only saw one rattlesnake. It was running the fuck away from me, right?
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but when I went to Florida, I must have seen like so many, like I saw like, not so many, I saw 4 snakes. They're all black racers, so non-poisonous. And let me tell you, they're called racers for a reason because they move really fucking fast, especially between lakes. So yeah, there was like lots of screeching. Since I've moved to Texas, I think I have seen a snake like every month.
Yeah.
When I lived in North Carolina, we had cottonmouths and water moccasins and copperheads.
Oh, water moccasins. Yeah, we have them in Maryland. Yep.
Those weren't pleasant. My husband had several encounters when he was in the military because he was based out of North Carolina, and sometimes you have to work around them to do your job.
I saw a snake. We live on a marsh, and we were kayaking in the marsh, and a snake went right in front of my kayak, and I'm like, please don't fall in. Please don't fall in, because I don't know what kind of snake they have here, but I don't like any of them.
And Morgan's not here, and we're talking about snakes.
I know. And
Sorry,
spiders.
Morgan.
You know, that's her thing: snakes and
Snakes
spiders.
spiders and all those. And probably cheese.
Oh, cheese is delicious. I like cheese.
Well, yeah, Wisconsin cheese. Yeah, I like cheese too.
I tried like this new like kind of like blueberry goat cheese when I went to go see my dad. And first off, my dad was like, "This is foo-foo as fuck. You're gonna eat it." And I was like, "Okay, Daddy, whatever you need." Right? I ate it. I liked it. I
Uh-huh.
really liked it. I'm definitely fucking foo-foo for this cheese.
I have is it cranberry goat cheese right now?
Oh, that's so
Different
delicious.
flavors. The fig one. Oh, fig.
Oh, that's so good.
Cheese.
So, what's everybody been working on?
I have not
shawl?
worked on this shawl. Yeah, I have not worked on this shawl since like I think last Tuesday. Because that's how busy I was. Like I was lamenting over the weekends, like I haven't been able to work on my shawl for days.
Like one of those
Tragedy.
Brunost brown cheese, amazing. Where's that from, Travelori?
Brown cheese. Oh, I know what that is. I don't know. Is it Norwegian or Denmark? I believe it's Norway, but I could be wrong.
There's a lot of good cheese out there.
There's cheese everywhere. Find out.
No, it's mentioning European. Oh, Norway. I watched
Norway.
this video today, and it was making fun of people complaining. And this woman was complaining that Vienna, Austria, is not for Black people because she only saw 2 other Black people when she was there, and all it is architecture and the food's bland.
That sounds like a perfect place.
But she kept calling it Vienna.
Vienna.
Vienna. And the guy doing the video goes, "I'm sorry, but I don't think I've heard anyone call it Vienna."
Mm-mm. That's weird.
But it was
Cheese and
fun.
architecture. That sounds like a good plan.
Except she called it architects. It has architect. And if you like bland food and architect, is what she said. I'm like, well, clearly you're not eating some of the food because I've had Viennese food that was not bland. But I also caught Vienna, so, you know,
Right.
maybe because she kept referring to it as Vienna, the locals were not bringing forth, you know, their best. Who knows?
That's weird because there are some words that I pronounce wrong just because I'm a reader.
Well, I
And
know.
so if you've never heard a word before and you read it, you're not going to know how to. But Vienna seems to be not one of those words.
You'd think, you know, between going there and talking to people about going there, somebody would have corrected your pronunciation of it, though. You know,
Or sometimes they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, it must
there
be
is
an
a Vienna.
accent. How exotic."
Hmm?
Or sometimes they're like, "It's an
Vienna.
accent."
Oh. Maybe she was from Texas. Who
maybe.
knows?
I don't know, but I just thought it was funny.
That's funny.
Funny.
When I moved to England, they wanted to change the way I said all my vowels and consonants, right? And so when I moved back to America, they wanted to change all of my vowels and consonants as well. And when I was a teacher, I got like legitimately offended at this lady, and she didn't realize I was angry until like she like made eye contact, and I had like, "I'm gonna fuck you up" look in my face. But she had joked that I was an English language learner because I couldn't say my letters correctly, and I was like, I say them quite well. But yeah, so it's always been interesting because people will like send me stuff and I'll be like trying to read it and like, oh man, do I use like British vernacular, American vernacular? Do I use Japanese? Like I love Japanese. Japanese simple as fuck. So
My daughter always corrects our when we say Japanese words because she took Japanese for 4 years in school, and so she always inadvertently corrects our pronunciation. She's like, I can't help it because our teacher always did that automatically. So when I hear it, I automatically just, oh, that's wrong. I must correct.
I only correct when it sounds like a bad word, because I have found in my adult history that telling people how to speak usually makes them pretty angry at you, right? But if it's a word like kawaii and kawaii, then I'll be kind of like, oh, do you mean like cute or scary? And they'll be kind of like, oh, I meant cute. Kawaii. That's what you want to say. So,
Okay.
So, Therese, what have you been doing
I have.
before I forget to ask her? And then we won't see the rest of this show because my ADHD brain is.
Right. I get it. So I was working on my last time we chatted. I was, 6 rows away from splitting for the sleeves. So I was working on my, not the cardigan I said it was,
Well, now you know.
but now I know. So on this far, split for the sleeves. So I got a ways to go.
I like the color.
Yeah, it says online that it's purple, but it's blue. So,
And
but
if you're getting, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have another cardigan if you're going to get snow in
I
April.
know, but how many freaking blue cardigans do I need?
see,
The
I have
problem
like
is,
I have black shirts, right? And every time I have like I buy a new black shirt, I don't throw out any other black shirts because
No.
I just need more black shirts. You need more blue cardigans.
Yeah.
yeah, but the problem is that most of my shirts are black. I don't want to wear a blue cardigan over a black shirt.
I would. I'd
Oh,
wear
you
it.
look so good.
Did you get dressed in the dark? Yes, I did.
This is
So-
my personal style.
Mhm.
That's how I thrive. I sparkle,
So I'm
sparkle.
kind of bored with this because of the pearl back rows.
Oh, yeah.
Boring.
You need another
then
in the or a shawl.
So I went back and picked up this is Spring Thing. I think it's called Spring Thing. And it's just a boomerang shawl. This is
Nice.
Tina's yarn, peppermint
Ooh.
bark.
Ooh,
And then what
pretty.
you do is when you get done, so you have to decrease, and then you pick up all the way around and then you put little tassels. And I picked, and then, so you can do either a totally contrasting color or a similar color. So I'm doing it in Woolmiza. It's not as red. It's, I don't know, it's darker red than it looks on the,
Yeah.
it's darker.
Yeah.
So I did that just because I just wanted no purling. That's what I wanted. No,
That'll be fun. And you can wear it around Christmas time, too.
I can wear it whenever I want.
That's true.
So that's what I'm doing.
I've been swatching for the last week on stitch
Ooh.
pattern.
Swatching.
And
Swatches.
not actual swatches, just trying to figure out knit stitch patterns and from different charts. And sometimes they're not in the languages I speak. So you
Ah.
have to try to figure them out. And then you need to put them in the round if you want them in the round. So it's a little pain. So I've been working on this.
Ooh.
It's a new sweater, short sleeve. I already have the
Oh.
sleeve done. They're very short. And
Mm, cute.
leaves going across and then little textury. And then
What,
there's no cabling. It's all knit and purl and slip stitches.
What weight is that?
Sport.
Sport. Okay.
And in my size, it's going to be just over 3 skeins.
Ooh.
So it's not going to take a lot.
Okay.
Maybe a little more for you people who are taller than me, because since I'm shorter.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
That's the one nice thing about being short is having a short torso, because in sweaters you don't have to knit as long.
Yeah, I have a very long torso, so I have to.
I don't know enough Japanese to help Lori. I'm sorry. What I would do is I would try and get one of the Japanese knit dictionaries and use that as a reference. I don't know if there's any online ones, but you can order them from Amazon. Or Neil might have one.
If you're online, there's websites that will translate documents.
Yeah, that's true.
I do that. You just tell it what language it's in and what you want it to be in, and it'll translate it for you. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes not so much.
I think
It's a little wonky.
sometimes those kind of things won't work if you're working from a photo, though.
Right. It depends. Yeah.
So I don't know, but Neil might know too, because I know he's looked at some Japanese patterns before. But I've seen the Japanese dictionaries out there for the stitch patterns.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have one on my wish list in Amazon, but I haven't gotten it. So that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to get it done by this weekend
Super cute.
so I can wear it. So we'll see. Thank you. It's a Banshee Fiber Arts for sport weight.
Is it wool?
What? It's a merino.
Okay.
I believe
That'd be
it
cute
is-
in cotton. or
I was
linen.
thinking that too. I would want to make another one at some point. This is 100% superwash merino, 327 yards, 3-ply. So,
Yeah, that'd be cute for summer.
yeah, I mean, not my summer, but you know, once it gets 110, I won't wear it. But
No.
I would like maybe to make one in cotton or linen.
Yeah.
But, she said she tried Google Translate of a screenshot and it translated most of it. Thank you.
Oh.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, Emily, there's never not just knitting a sock.
I
That
have a
sock
sock
can have way more
over
stitches
there.
than
Yeah.
a sweater. Because I calculated it out one time because someone had asked me to make socks, and I think once I figured out it was going to be over 15,000
Yeah.
stitches in a pair of socks.
That's not nothing.
So that's not nothing. And some
Mm-mm.
people never knit socks, so
I run
That's
hot
what-
and cold.
but I do when anyone who I don't want to make something for asks me to, I tell them how many
How
stitches
many
it is.
stitches there are?
You know, especially when they don't want to pay good money or even for
Right.
supplies. It's like,
Right.
well, oh, that's like 15,000 stitches. So
15,000 stitches on size, ones.
exactly. And usually then they're like, oh, okay.
Never mind. Especially with the cost of, I can't, and I get it, but oof, the cost of sock yarn, even just sock yarn now from when I started knitting socks.
I know. I want to cast on my Bright Access tee, but
Me
the
too.
yarn that I ordered for the stripes was a pre-order that I have not gotten. It was supposed to ship out last month, and I've got no response from the yarn dyer, even though I've contacted them.
Uh-oh.
So that's kind of frustrating. So this is the yarn I got from Tina for the body. So I pulled out
Ooh.
some West Yorkshire spinners
Ooh.
because I want something to be fun and bright and cheerful.
Mm.
And West Yorkshire spinners isn't that expensive. I think it was like $12 a skein, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I'll use if the other yarn doesn't ever come. I've sent her a message and she just hasn't responded. And her Etsy shop said that she's taken time off to catch up on orders, but you could have notified me that it was going to be late because
Mhm.
so I would prefer that one for it, but if not, I'll use this. And I do like these Forte needles. I'm finding I am a fan.
Good.
I've liked the carbons, the Knitter's Pride. I've liked their carbon needles, but these have a sharper tip, so they're not quite as blunt as the others, so they're easier to pick up stitches and things with.
The carbons, I like the carbons, but they feel a little draggy to me.
These are not draggy at all. And
I mean,
like-
not enough to not use them, but just enough to,
And the sizes are etched into the metal on the end and not just printed. So not like the other Chow Goos that,
ugh, I hate
you lose sight of what the size it is because you can't see it anymore and then you have to check it every time.
Mhm.
These don't have that. But they use the same Chow Goo cables.
Nice.
So I'm just
I'm
not
seeing-
paying $300 for a set.
I'm seeing a lot of the knockoff ones you can get on Amazon or whatever are using that Chow Goo cable.
Yeah. Well, Knitter's Pride has their mindful cables, which are bendable. They're not like the heavy cables of their other ones,
Hmm.
but they're not as good as the Chow Goo.
Right. Like these
But
I'm
they're-
using right now. They have a ChowGoo cable, like ChowGoo like, but these are from Amazon, some random, interchangeable set for $20 some or whatever.
Yep.
And they're fine.
Whatever works.
Yep.
So if anybody's looking or they're having knitting mojo blocks and want something to work on, we are also knitting for the babies. So
Mhm.
baby socks, baby mittens, baby hats, and
Baby, anything, baby blankets.
Guy Kate also doing a baby knit.
Mhm.
Well, and Tabitha was too.
Mhm.
So
That's
ours,
over with, though.
ours is kind of a year-round thing.
It's just whatever. Because I can't be bothered,
If you have any questions, ask Amy from Pro Life Knitter what she needs.
Mhm.
And buy her stitch stoppers because they're adorable. And the money goes for the babies.
And you always need just have your stitches not come off your needles.
That is true. Now, I found though it's up to me to remember to actually put the stitch stoppers on the needles before putting
These don't have any. Yeah.
Because even if I have them on the table next to me, I don't always remember to use them, and then
Mhm.
oops. But that's my problem.
Well, and there's a lot of tools that we have now that we haven't always had. So
True.
you're not, maybe you won't always remember to use them.
Exactly. I did see an article about someone, a fairly new knitter who got into it a few months ago and is caught up on knit talk and all the drama from fakings of deaths to Discord pattern sharing to all the drama on there. And I'm thinking, lady, you have not hit order of the drama in the knitting field.
No.
And she's like, it's supposed to be a happy, relaxing hobby. It is for 99% of the people.
Yeah.
It's like just the tone of her article kind of annoyed me a little because it's like it's all it is drama. No, most people don't get
it
caught
off
up in
the internet. Yeah. Get
Yeah.
off Reddit. And you'll see they're normal people.
Yep.
But then there's the people who you're not allowed to say it's supposed to be just a relaxing hobby. They get mad because you're supposed to be an activist all the time, 24/7.
I am promoting small business owners who get overlooked in the grand scheme of things by knitting and using their yarn. So that's my activism there. Okay.
Yep.
Reddit is the butthole of the internet. That's true,
It
Tina.
really is. It really is. It's awful.
I remember when Reddit used to be like a fun place, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
somebody was like, oh man, this thing on Reddit. And you'd always be like excited, like, oh, the thing on Reddit, like send it to me, right? Now it's like the other day I told my husband to stop sending me Reddit links because I don't want to go to that disgusting place, right? But it's so weird because every time there's like a fun place, like it just gets like taken over by like bad people. Well, not bad people, just gets taken over. We'll say it that way. Like,
Sorry, my stand's well,
but
It's down.
like I think I'm thinking back because like LiveJournal was a thing and people used to go there, and then it got taken. Yeah, and MySpace was a thing, and then that got taken over before LiveJournal, and then Tumblr was actually a cool place to be, but then that got taken over by like Tumblr arenas who were like out trying to cancel each other.
Yeah.
And then I'll still never forget when like Twitter, when it was called Twitter, was a thing, and I was like, this is the most ridiculous like concept I've ever heard. And then I knew like we were doomed when the news started to report on tweets, and I was like, you guys must have like nothing to talk about. And now it's like taken over everything, and it's also a cesspool of bad personalities. But I think my favorite one that came out that like crashed like immediately was like Blue Sky.
Oh yeah.
Like they were like, Blue Sky, a safe place for all of us to go. First thing they do is attack each other. It's like, good job, guys.
Reddit is just an echo chamber. It's little groups and other like-minded little, marionettes who feel like,
Well, and the whole management is completely like one-sided, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like, this is a really like this is an actual example, and I'm not saying this to like attack anybody. That's my disclaimer, right? But there used to be two Reddits. One was called Skinny People Hate, and the other one was Fat People Shame, right? The company had an issue with Fat People Shame, and that had to go. No, can't do that. Skinny People Hate was up forever.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like one of those things where it's like, if you're going to let people have conversations, then like keep it even. But like, as that preference started to show more and more, like, that's just when like everything. But what I think is really interesting, and I'm not going to give this particular group too much attention by name mentioning or anything like that, but there's dedicated groups on Reddit, right, that like to like attack people.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like, mean girl gossip things. Like, I was literally just before I came on was looking at somebody that was just doxing other people, right? Yeah. And I know they have like a dox policy on there, right? But by the time that comes and kicks in, right, the information's already out there. Yeah. So it's like your policy does me no good, does nobody good, especially all the people on this list that just got like, exposed, because the screenshot lasts forever.
I just like Reddit for, I'm on some that are like just I'm in the like Chinese food Reddit, or, cooking or baking or, whatever, to get recipes and stuff. I don't want to be with all the wackaloons.
Well, I do look at some of the knitting Reddit only because I like to get a feel for what people want and don't want in designs.
Sure.
So, and also I like to read how people spend all their time complaining instead of knitting.
Right. I'm on those, but the best ones I have on Reddit are not have anything to do with politics or.
Oh no, I don't.
It's just cooking and
get that in the real world.
Right.
But I just love watching them fight each other and who's going to be the new victimhood this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because
which box are we checking this week? Yes.
It's like, really? But
nobody got time for that.
Nope.
And one of the worst things ever on Twitter, X, whatever, is the For You tab. Stay away from that. Just go in the Following tab. Because I don't know why they think that most of that is for me, because it's definitely not.
I haven't been on Twitter in a long time.
I live on Twitter and I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I spent too much time on it and I wasn't happy. Like, I would get very easily frustrated. And while I get frustrated on other social media, I was getting more frustrated there. So I decided that one wasn't one I needed to follow as much.
Yeah.
Like my favorite part about being on X right now, and just to be clear, I do it mostly for work, right? Like, branding, here I am, stuff like that, be reachable. And sometimes like when people want to have like an interview with my boss, I don't know why they don't send me an email, but they'll just like contact me on X, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'll post like fitness accountability posts on there, right? And I always get kind of concerned because like sometimes what will happen is like I'll start seeing a whole bunch of like muted responses under mine. And if I muted you, it's because you've said something like particularly nasty to me, right? Mm-hmm. And so I always wonder, I'd never click on it because I don't want to do it. But I'm like, oh man, you guys are dogpiling. I don't know what you're saying. Oh, well, look at me. Have a great day. Here's a picture of my dog.
Uh-huh.
But it's just, I guess it's interesting that, it's, we lean, well, I guess, I don't know if it's, I'll ask you guys in the chat. Do you think it's an internet general thing, or do you think it's a platform-based thing where if somebody has the ability to say something nasty, they just like launch into it, right?
That's internet.
That's internet, yeah.
Because we were just talking about like how Reddit's like a cesspool, right? But it's like, is it like the most cesspool of cesspools? Like, is there like, do we have a tier system? Like,
well, except for Ravelry, where you're absolutely not allowed to say anything positive about this.
Reddit's more a deep dive cesspool, whereas Twitter is more a flash in your face kind of
Yeah.
get your attention
Oh,
kind
so
of
it's like
thing.
it's like single serving cesspool. It's kind of like here's your shit for the day. Like carry on.
Where Reddit, there's so many, I'm not going to say the word conspiracy theorists, but a lot of people who delve into things and like to post their findings and their opinions. And I think Twitter is more, let's catch your attention first
Mhm.
kind of thing. And then it
No, I agree.
devolves from there.
But I also think Reddit, conversely, is also a lot of people who need to do deeper dives than they do because they just
Excuse
read,
me.
they just read
Mhm.
headlines and nothing else. And there's a lot of those too. Or they read their own people's stuff and just spew it out.
Well, I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I would rather talk to people with all different viewpoints and find common ground than just be with people who think and say the things I want them to, because that's not
argue
real life.
with me or have a discussion with me.
Yeah.
Like if we have a different point of view, like I think what happens is because so many like we developed a culture of people that when they said something, like they get like emotionally attached to something, right? So I can't remember what was it. It was a movie. Okay, it was a Dragon Ball Z movie, right? And I think it was Dragon Ball Z Superhero. I liked it. I thought it was actually really good. It made fun of itself. Some of it was kind of campy, whatever. It was I was pleasantly surprised by it, right? But I told somebody that I liked the movie, and the first thing they said was like, that movie's trash and you shouldn't like it as a DBZ fan and blah 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 blah. And I had like this moment of kind of like why can't I like things? Like, why are you being so mean to me
All
because
right,
I
I
like the
don't know
movie?
It's not letting me. Weird. Okay. I don't know. Won't let me take something off the stage.
No,
There it
okay.
goes. Okay. Sorry.
But
All these new StreamYard additions that are screwing me up.
But I still had like that moment where when he said he didn't like it, like I was like, oh man, my feelings are kind of hurt. But then I got over it, right? But a lot of people can't do that. So like if you come out and say, yeah, they take it like a personal attack. And I was like, you are fine as a human being. Your taste in movies is trash, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. You're allowed to have really shitty opinions about movies,
That's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, like one of my friends, I think she's great. I love everything about her except her book recommendations. I think her taste in books is actually kind of like lackluster. I don't say that to her though. I just kind of like acknowledge that it is and then move on.
Right. Because that's not her whole personality. That's not her whole thing. That's just one aspect of her.
Well, we used to be, as people, be able to still like and befriend and be happy and have affection for people who didn't agree with us all the time.
Yeah.
And now it's not allowed. It's like, oh, you think this, I can't have anything to do with you whatsoever.
Right.
Like, no, that's not how the world is supposed to work. And Tina's right. She's worried about X because how acceptable and casual, blatant anti-Semitism has become.
Oh my God. It's awful. Yeah.
Well, and I get people not liking Elon Musk. Hate him, love him, whatever. But when you're going after private people's vehicles and damaging them, what's the matter with you? Like, they've already paid him. He's not getting more money from them, dude. You're not hurting him now. You're hurting somebody else.
You're acting like a toddler.
No, they're attacking the symbol. So like there was a social experiment that Blair White did like a couple years ago, where she was in Vegas and she wore a Make America Great hat again. Mm-hmm. She got assaulted 4 times. Yeah. I mean, like people came out and just started hitting her. Like, like it ended up being like a police officer was standing next to her, and like with this one, like I hate saying this, but like, please excuse me, I don't have a better way to say it. This one trailer trash looking woman came over and tried to steal her hat off her so she could rip it. And the police officer came over and said, hey, you can't do that. You have to give it back. And she's like, no, I have to destroy this hat. And he was like, you cannot take somebody's property, right? She was just fixated on the hat, what the hat represented. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. And that's like, I don't want to use the word trigger, but we've become like conditioned that when we see things, like we have a reaction to it, right? And
I know.
It's very dangerous. And I wish we would like unsocially engineer that shit out of our social.
Yeah, but it's escalating is what the point I'm trying to make. They're going after private people. Like someone threw a 1-foot rock through a window of a Tesla, windshield of a Tesla
Oh
driving.
no, it gets worse. Like
and
over in
and a pregnant
Flagstaff.
woman ended up in surgery because
No,
she was in the passenger seat and got hit.
No, somebody got assaulted. No, the different story. Somebody with a Tesla like almost got killed by somebody because they own the Tesla in Flagstaff,
Yeah.
Arizona, like 2 weeks ago.
Are you talking about the older lady?
I don't know if it was the older lady.
Because
Again,
the older
that was
lady, there's
There's been so
There was-
many that it's
there
hard
was
to
one
keep
with
track
an
of
older
them.
lady who got beaten up by this Tesla owned because she said because she drove a Tesla, but other witnesses said it was because it was a road rage thing and both of the cars were driving erratically and cut each other off. So I don't
No,
know if
this
it's
is a
because it was
different story.
Okay.
So
I don't know
there's
if
a
it's
lot of
necess-
Tesla hate.
yeah,
I'm sorry if you own
I
a
know.
Tesla.
A
Apparently,
lot,
you want to
yeah.
get shot.
Evidently, what kills me is the people who vandalize them, and you'd think they know by now. Teslas have Sentry cameras,
Everywhere.
like everywhere, like, and they do it anyway, and then they
Mhm.
act shocked, like.
These are grown ass people, like in their 40s, 50s. Like, what are you doing? What
Well,
do you
I think? Well, one of the things is like Uber, right? Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the things that Uber does is if you're an Uber driver without a vehicle, they'll actually let you go to a lot and rent a vehicle. And one of the vehicles that they're partnered with is actually Tesla.
Yeah, Therese knows.
Yeah.
My husband, he doesn't do it so much anymore. But yeah, he has rented Teslas for Uber.
Yeah.
Man,
And so
those,
it's like,
those cars are so nice. They are so nice. Oh. But yeah, it's also a pain in the ass because it's Hertz and they're awful company. But whatever.
mhm.
But yeah, and I'm glad he's not renting them anymore because I don't need him getting in an incident.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
'cause you don't know.
it's just the fact that people think it's perfectly okay to cross that line and damage
when
and
did it
injure
be-
and
Yeah. Well, okay. Listen, summer of 2020 crossed that line. You know, you're progressively seeing,
Yeah.
and there's a good word for it, progressively. You're seeing people cross the line. The line keeps getting moved of what's acceptable behavior.
yeah, and it's scary because you never know when it's going to be their next big thing that they are
Well,
going
you're gonna-
after.
Yeah. And they're going to piss off the wrong person at some point. And
Well,
that's
and the law's not really isn't really prepped for it either. Because like I think I told you guys the story, so just forgive me for doing a quick recap for us. But like there's like a group on in my particular circle. So outside of knitting world, they like basically take the knitting drama that you guys have, replace it with comic books, and that's where I live, right? And there's like a group of like mentally ill guys who have like a private forum, and they have a list of ladies with names, addresses, and everything, right? And they like to giggle about all the terrible things that they're going to do to them, right? And when I talked to the authorities about it, I was kind of like, hey, like kind of scary. Like what are the options? And the response was, it's on the internet. We can't do anything about it.
Mhm.
And I was like, these are people who are literally planning, like they are in planning stages to do harm, and you're like, can't do anything. Sorry. I was like, oh wow.
Well, think
Good
about
thing I
all
have
these.
Second Amendment.
Think about all these school shooters and assassin people who they all come out and say, well, the FBI had them on their radar. So even when they do have them on their radar, they're not stopping people.
Yeah.
You know?
But
The
and then there was
internet-
like,
The internet
sorry.
now is not the internet of 1996, you know. And they seem to still be stuck in that mentality where it's not
well,
real
and they
life.
don't don't take it seriously either. Like there
No.
was a lawsuit about a stalker that kept showing up to like a workplace and a private residence, right? And you know, steps were taken. It went to court, right? And then basically what happened, it was like the judge read like the synopsis of the situation, thought, oh, this is like some silly internet drama, whatever, and completely dismissed it.
Not now. That's not the mentality you need to have.
Activist judges are a thing, and prosecutors. I watched a case the other day where the guy, he's being charged with disorderly conduct, and because he was on probation in another county, he was getting his probation revoked, so he's going to go to jail because he picked up a new case. And the prosecutor and the judge is like, why would you just give him nothing for this disorderly conduct. She goes, well, he's probably going to jail for the other case, so it's fine. Well, the victim impact statement, his girlfriend, it turns out he beat the crap out of her that night. And it wasn't disorderly conduct. It was him fighting because he was beating the crap out of her, and she ended up in the hospital with a CT scan. But the prosecutor never really investigated or did anything, and just said, oh, it was disorderly conduct.
Yeah,
And
and
the
then the judges always do like this thing where they're like, you can't use historical cases in like the current case, and I'm like, but what if there's a
Why can't
pattern?
No. What the judge did, though, she was pissed because she heard the woman, and you could tell this lady was telling the truth. You could hear the hurt and the fear in her voice that this guy was going to get out. And so the judge starts questioning him on his plea deal. And, oh, did you do this? And you do that? And he's like, and when you're taking a plea deal, you have to either no contest or guilty. And he was pleading guilty to disorderly conduct because he had this sweetheart deal. And then when she's just casually asking him questions to confirm it, and he goes, well, I didn't do any of that. She goes, okay, thank you so much. I can't take your plea deal because you're not admitting to it. So we're going to trial now. So
Right.
yeah. And just totally took, his
Yep.
lawyer was so pissed, but the guy talked himself into it. And
Yeah.
she just totally screwed him. Well, she didn't screw him, but she,
She
didn't
gave
let
him
him get
rope.
away with it.
That's what she did.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
And
But Caro's right. It's infuriating where you can't show past behavior. If there's a
Nope.
pattern of behavior,
well,
you should
okay.
be able to highlight that.
Look at the woman in Florida, the grandmother whose granddaughter died, and her grandson had died in her care
Yes.
a few years earlier, and the jury was not allowed to be told that.
Right.
That's
Because
a pattern. I'm sorry.
yes.
Though the judge in the sentencing the other day did give her the maximum
Good.
because of the first death.
Good.
But yeah, they wouldn't tell.
Yeah, sometimes
I think
they're
personally, I think she hates her daughter secretly.
maybe.
She could just be mentally ill. Like,
No, they did. She'd been tested and everything else, and she'd been cognitive tested and everything.
Well, no,
I mean,
she's just a psychopath.
yeah, I
Not
was about to
still
say,
mentally ill,
yeah.
And the
I-
first one, she didn't get charged because she and her husband were both home, and the kid fell in a pond or something.
Yeah,
or
I remember
pool or
that
something.
case. Yeah.
And then the second one was a hot car
Allegedly
death.
in Minecraft.
Allegedly. Yeah.
And the judge went off on her in the hot car death because she had picked up her granddaughter at her daughter's job and had gone to lunch with her friends. And she only gave the baby a little bit of water, sips of water from the table, claiming, oh, the mom didn't send her any food and diapers or anything, which is a lie because it was all in the diaper bag, the police found. So she was purposely dehydrating the kid and then left her in the car and forgot about her. Her car had one of those notices that tell you if there's something with weight in the back seat. So there was no excuse for her not. But they wouldn't tell the jury about the first baby's death.
See, that's
So,
not right. In my opinion, that's not.
yeah.
Yeah, we used to run into that when I was a teacher when we would have like repeatable behavior and we were just never allowed to talk about like prior incidents and stuff like that. Like I always told people I wish that we like as teachers we had a hotline would be like that kid right there, that one, he's gonna kill people. He's gonna be on a clock tower with a fucking rifle. And they'd be like, stop being so paranoid. It's like, oh, you're just applying your prejudice. Like, no, I'm like legit, he's gonna kill someone.
I mean, there's a reason why we can catch serial killers. The word serial means they're doing the same thing over and over with the same kind of pattern, the same kind of,
And I guess I kind of understand where it's like we can't apply past behavior for certain situations. Like if we're talking about somebody that maybe is trying to do better. So like if it's
right.
It's just blah, 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 blah. It's so messy, and I would like it if I wasn't involved in any of it. Like that would make me super happy.
I saw one today where this teacher, 27 or something, was teaching in a juvie detention center, and was trying to had sexual conduct with a 17-year-old who's clearly got issues if he's in juvie. And there was letters with nude photos of her trying to get him to kill her husband. Like, first of all, lady, how do you think he's going to kill your husband if he's in juvie? And second of all, who told you to put that kind of crap in writing?
They don't
Like,
think.
No, they don't. Thank God they don't think, or more of them wouldn't get caught.
It was like I have so many stories when I was a teacher, but I think it's not my favorite, but the one that always stuck out to me was when I was a coach, right? And I was a coach for cross country. And every like the orientation, like, you know, the director of sports was basically like, whatever you do, none of you sleep with the students. And I had laughed because I was like, that's like the most ridiculous thing ever. And he looked at me and he was like, why is that funny? And
It has to be said, yeah.
yeah, and he was like, no, I guarantee 2 of you in this room will sleep with students. And I was like, and I was looking at everybody and I was like, are you fucking for real?
No,
Well-
it goes on, and not just in sports, you know.
Yeah, there were
Well-
10 people in that room. That's the ratio. 10 people, 2 and 10. He expected to sleep with students. And I was like, that is crazy.
A lot of the theater teachers in my daughter's high school were involved in
Mhm.
that, and one got caught. The others all retired early because they knew what he was doing and they covered for him.
Yeah.
One of my
just
high school teachers was actually on Oprah years ago for being one of those teachers.
Teacher of the year.
And I'm so like, I'm sitting there minding my own business, like, you know, however many years, I don't know, not a couple years after I graduated. And here's my, you know, English teacher or whatever on Oprah because he hooked up with some student in my school. Okay.
Well, the one the other day, they showed the cop cam when they arrested the teacher. This one had inappropriate with the student, and it was caught because the mom bought her son a new iPhone, and she went on the cloud to sync the old one
Mhm.
or whatever, and she saw the messages and asked her son about it, and he told her, you know. And so they went to the police, and when they went to arrest the teacher, she's like, they pull her over, and her husband's in the car. She's like, can my husband go with me? Well, he can follow. I really want my husband there. I don't want to say anything to my husband's there. I'm like, no, you don't want your husband there. Trust me. Once you find out while they've got you, you don't want your husband there. Because the kid was like 14.
Oh, God.
And then they show her getting back in the police car after being interrogated, going to the jail, and she's bawling her eyes out and having a panic attack and freaking. I'm like, yeah, maybe your husband found out. Like,
I think
Well,
she
this-
I don't know if he found out, but
Old boy is attractive. Like, ew.
because it's a control thing, and they
No,
think boys
they're
are never going to complain because the whole thing is, oh, boys should appreciate that fact, you know. Hot
They're
for teacher.
gross. Ugh.
I know.
it's just a power play.
And she claims, you know, people always come after her because she's pretty. Ma'am, and there were messages on her phone, and she claims the student took her phone sometime and sent himself a message.
Oh, I saw
then-
this case.
and-
I
yeah.
saw this.
Have you ever heard of passwording your phone?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I would
Especially
never let my
ridiculous.
students
Something
touch
like
my
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz. But it's
Maybe we should talk about something else. Let's talk about
Yeah.
something else.
yeah, it's just
Stop.
crazy
talk
out
about-
there.
Dinosaurs.
No. Let's talk about yarn. What yarn are you using?
Superwash Merino.
Oh.
Tina's Alana Yarn and Company. Yarn
Yay.
fiber. Yep.
Hey, Liz. Our other friend, Liz.
Other people,
we have so
hello.
many Liz's. We like them all.
I know.
Tina
Wait,
has some wonderful orange yarn
She
that
does.
you should go buy for the
Can we
Make
screen share?
Orange Great Again knit along.
Yep. Which
Make
starts in
along.
June, right?
June.
I think.
Can we screen share like the store or anything? Or
I went to Yarn
Oh.
and Fiber. To be fair, I think most of our followers have already shopped there.
oh, okay.
But Tina, put it in the chat. I know you're watching.
Oh, she's got some really good oranges. Oh, I'm dying.
does.
Actually, I want all of them.
I'm
I
still
haven't
don't know what I'm gonna
anything
make.
with orange.
What's up?
I haven't tried orange yet.
You should.
I don't know what I'm gonna make yet.
I have
will-
I have a couple of things I'm gonna make.
I'm supposed to have something for Neil for the 15th this month. Well,
You got
that's
you got a week.
yeah, I know. I figure once I finish this, I've got 3 or 4 days. It's all good, and I have an article I'm supposed to write in too. So
Ooh.
we'll get there. I have all the
Yeah.
research done.
I still have
I keep telling myself I'm gonna work on like my knitting project so that way I can do like this article for Neil, and then I'm like, I'll do it after I finish this shawl, right?
Let's see your
Well-
shawl. Can we see it?
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
see how it looks.
Ooh, I love how that looks.
Ooh.
That's Chicken Lady yarn, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's
It's really
pretty.
pretty.
Yep.
that
Black
for
be
you?
black. Yes. Nana can't take it from me. I've already told her. I was like, you haven't seen it, but you can't take this shawl. She's like, you sure? You sure I can't take that shawl? Yeah, I'm pretty confident, Nana. You can't have this one.
Nana got one already.
Right.
But yeah, so
Come on,
it's
Nana.
yeah, so
To be
smells
fair-
like snow, blackly
We love you,
black.
but come on.
To be fair, though, it's a good feeling when somebody wants something you've made so much.
And
That's
she
true.
walked off with that shawl. Like she just like took it off my back. That was like the joke because she's never done that before. I think she's only done that once. Like she walked into like one of my aunt's house and they had like some painting and it was like you knew she was gonna leave with that painting, right?
I love your Nana.
Thank you. She's very delightful. I like her a lot. I call her a very present Nana, right? Because you've got like some Nanas who are just kind of like
Yeah.
playing the role, but she's like so. And sometimes that sass comes out and I'm not ready for it. I'm like, ah!
Yeah. My sister-in-laws used to grocery shop at my mother-in-law's house. They just show up, oh, I need milk, and just take your milk, go through the pantry, stuff. I'm like, I could never do that, but that's their dynamic. So
Yep.
whatever works. But it got to the point where they're telling my mother-in-law what stuff she can have in her house and my father-in-law, and they just went with it because my father-in-law's sister had very eclectic taste and art and things, and she had this one painting that had a naked woman and a horse, and we had ended up with it when she died because my father had been going to my father-in-law and can't have naked women and stuff, so we had it for a while, and then he got it at some point, and then it went to my other sister-in-law because my sister-in-law was like, you can't have a naked woman painting in the house, that's rude. Like, he can have whatever painting he wants in his house.
Cheers.
So
It's art.
people aren't born with clothes on. Sorry, hate to tell you. Nice.
You should probably though wear clothes when you ride a horse. I'm just saying because.
Well, she was just standing next to the horse, leading the horse.
Oh, okay. She's not riding it. Okay.
No, riding it, you should probably wear clothes. But
Yeah, but if you go in the bar, okay, that's not. You should wear clothes when you're in a barn or.
yeah,
At
at least shoes.
Oh, definitely shoes. Oh my God, we had this one friend. She used to gallop for us, and she would walk around the barn with no shoes on. I'm like, do you understand how many parasites are in the dirt and the
Stuff.
Gross.
Yeah.
She's still around, so whatever.
Maybe they should take her blood and make immunity drugs.
Yeah, I was about to say farm kids have a different kind of immunity.
Yeah, they do.
They
They
definitely,
do.
they definitely have tougher feet.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, to be fair, my feet are tougher now that I live in the desert because we're barefoot half the year, or more than half the year, because we don't wear socks and shoes in the summer. We wear flip-flops or sandals
Yep.
because it's just so hot. So, and I'm barefoot at home all year long.
Yeah, I think my feet were the most free when I was in Arizona because it was sandals or just barefoot, except
Mhm.
on pavement in the summer because that's a
God,
quick
no.
way to get a first-degree burn.
That is, yep. That's why you don't take your animals for a walk in the heat of the day
Yep.
Right.
either.
Yeah, they have a law for that.
Yeah, and now these kids, they get playground equipment that's plastic, not the metal stuff in the sun that my
Oh,
husband grew up on
shit.
when he was younger at the
Is there
park.
anything worse than going down a slide in the summer?
Yeah, think
Very
about 100-degree heat though in Vegas.
I did
Yeah.
that once and like burned like when I was a
Oh,
child
yeah.
and burned like the underside of my thighs. Like terrible place to get a burn.
Mhm.
Oh, that's like when you get into a car with vinyl seating and
Oh,
it's been
Right.
sitting outside in the heat for hours
yeah.
and you're wearing shorts and it burns the back of your legs. And then your stomach's burnt from the metal from the seat
Mhm.
belt because back in the day those were all metal. And
That's terrible.
When we
And you
lived
get
in
like the
Miami-
burn on the hip from the buckle and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
When we lived in Miami, um, David he had moved the horses up to Delaware, and I was waiting out the school year. And so it's June in Miami, and I'm laying out. Now look at me. I'm like white. I'm the whitest person I know. And I'm laying out. Amanda's in the pool, and I'm laying out there with alcohol and Jimmy Buffett all afternoon, and just tore myself up. I could not get, my car had leather seats. I could not get in my car for like 5 days.
Oh.
I couldn't put clothes on. Like I wore this giant t-shirt for like 5 days because I couldn't put clothes on. It was awful. And then David called me. He's like, I need you to move this horse. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. So I had black leather interior.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Yeah. All the good times with all the metal and everything, and
Mhm.
playground equipment was different when we were little.
When you weren't being flung off the merry-go-round thing.
Hey, there was a trick to holding on while still leaning so that you looked cool and didn't fly off.
Yeah, but if your hands are all sweaty because it's 100 degrees.
Yeah, it's true. I like the going around on the swing set all the way around.
How did Gen X, man?
Face it, it was a crapshoot whether or not we survived.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, man, how the fuck did I grow up to adulthood?
There's all that
We just
hose
didn't
water
care.
you drank.
Yeah, we just didn't care. It's like, and nobody cared about our feelings. It's like no one ever asked you about your feelings. You were just supposed to do what you're supposed to do.
What's
and
that lady?
Don't talk
who's that
back.
lady
And don't
that's
talk
on
back.
Instagram,
Oh,
Slim Sherry.
Slim Sherry. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, she's so good.
She tells it like
she's-
it is.
Spot on.
I mean, yeah, she was talking. She did one I rewatched the other day about a Saturday morning where you got up and you made
Mhm.
your breakfast and you watched the cartoons and then you left the house.
And you didn't come back until
And if
nighttime.
you were lucky, you drank a little bit from the hose.
Yeah, that gets me a little bit. I was talking to one of my friends a while ago, and the story hurts me. It really does. Because he lives with a grown woman that basically, she's a trucker. And when she comes home, she turns into like this adult child that can't cook for herself. It's just kind of like, I don't know what to do, like all this other stuff. And at one point when he was telling me like all this stuff, I was like, you should, it's like, well, she can't eat if I don't cook for her. And I was like, well, maybe she should fucking starve. Right. Because like on Saturday morning when my parents were sleeping in, you know what I did? I fed myself.
Yeah.
And I knew how.
That's what cereal was for.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Hmm.
But it would hurt me because I was like, man, this is like a woman in her 30s that can't even like fend for herself if she thinks that somebody competent is nearby, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad because I hope they don't have kids because
Me too.
that's going to be not good.
Well, yeah, I mean, fed yourselves. And did you read the one about the guy the other day who got arrested because he'd left his kids in McDonald's for a couple hours?
Yes.
And it turned out that he wasn't at a job interview like he claimed. He was off delivering a backpack, whatever that means.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, he had left the 9-year-old watching the 6-year-old and the baby, the 1-year-old, in a McDonald's for 2 hours to go deliver a backpack. He told him he had a job interview, and he did have a job interview, but it had been before then. It had been earlier in the day. And so there all these athletes, this poor dad, he got arrested.
Antonio
What was he
Brown
gonna do
was
with his
doing
kid?
the
Yeah.
GoFundMe. Yeah.
What are we going to do? He's just trying to do the best and get a job for his family. Yeah, he was off at some apartment complex delivering a backpack.
Ugh.
And he claimed there was no one, he couldn't have called anyone from help. The 9-year-old called their mom, and their mom showed up before he did.
Oh boy, I didn't see
So-
that part.
Yeah, well, because it was all about, how terrible it was to arrest him, and, he's just doing the best he can under the circumstances and whatnot.
I bet when he was growing up, his parents like dropped him off at a place and said, just stay here until I come back.
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
probably. And if it's little bit older kid, even the 9-year-old might have been okay by themselves. But watching 2 little ones, including an infant, you know, plus the 9-year-old's not going to be able to stop somebody from grabbing that baby and walking out the door
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
either. But it was
Nowadays,
just,
you can't. No, you can't.
you know, it was like automatically people are like, this is terrible. He's just a good dad looking out for his kids. And then it turns out he was lying the whole time.
Yeah, like I said, AB, he did a whole fundraiser for him and everything.
Mhm.
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
I mean, like,
That's
it was a different world when we were younger. We didn't know about all the dangers.
it's,
We caused a lot of the dangers because of the things
yeah,
we did.
it's,
Playing on construction sites was one of the fond memories of my childhood
oh,
because the
I-
neighborhood that I lived in was being built. So there were always houses being built to go explore.
The days of feral children roaming the neighborhood.
Yep.
it's feral.
But the thing is, someone always had some kind of indication. If you were in the neighborhood, some mom knew where you were. If you left the neighborhood, then it was different. But
Yeah, and it was interesting because it was like a mom would like call, right? Like from it was like almost like an animal call, and like all the children would like lift their heads into the direction, be like, whose mom was that?
Now, see, I didn't have that. I was an only child, and I didn't have any friends nearby. Woohoo. But I was playing in the woods all day long.
we had woods too.
Yeah.
We had woods and yellow jackets
Oh God, yellow jackets. Oh.
and cottonmouths. Not
Mm.
cottonmouths, copperheads.
Poison ivy.
Good times.
I guess I was
That too.
definitely a feral child because when I think I've told you guys this, like I grew up in like a semi like Jerry Springer family. So the Jerry Springer side's really like on my biological mother's side, like my father's side's pretty even Kevin. But for a while I lived in Jerry Springer land and on that Minecraft server. And so sometimes what would happen is, you know, I would just be kind of like released into the wild. And so I would find like a pack of wild children to like run around with for like, you know, 10 hours a day. Right.
That's what you did.
Yeah. Yeah. And one time like that pack of children just happened to be like, you know, at Mount Rainier. So we were just running all over the national park looking for bears and deers. Like we could have died.
So, okay, so which is worse, that or a kid on a tablet all day long, you know, on social media all day long?
Physically, our childhood. Mentally, the one on the tablet.
Yeah. I don't like, I think I regret why I had the childhood, but I don't regret the experience because I mean, like, how many people can like say like you went like on adventures? Like I like my imagination was like off the charts. Like I made like tree forts. We had weapons. We were guarding. Like we were like little miniature soldiers, like protecting like one tree that we decided was magical because somebody had carved a heart into it, right?
Mhm.
But like people like on tablets, they're so like all they do is intake and they don't output
Right.
at all.
Yep.
And it really like destroys like critical thinking and like children's creativity. And I think that's probably like the biggest tragedy of all time. My one talking point against like, you know, using AI and Chat GPT right now is it's actually destroying our ability to think cognitively or kind of like do that critical thinking skills that we were actually taught to do when we were growing up. It was like, you know, like somebody gives you a whiteboard and says, make, you know, a box with 3 lines. Like, how do you do it? Right. I don't know if I did that exercise with a whole bunch of people, how many would do it. Right. So, yeah.
What's
I
the
just
one
use
word?
Grok in place of Google and I
It's
ask
the
it
same
for
thing.
recipes and knitting patterns, you know. Like,
Here's-
no,
That's
what's
fair.
What's the one word of our childhood that you never told your parents? That you were bored.
oh
Because if
God,
you were
no.
bored,
no,
they would
fair.
find something for you
No,
to do.
fair. I never said fair in my house. That was a
Well.
forbidden word. That's not fair.
Well, that too. That's
Yeah.
that's also. But bored was one. Oh, you're bored.
Mm-mm. I'll give you
We
some.
learned very quickly. Yeah, well, I'll give you something to do, and it's usually something I didn't want to do.
Like weeding the garden.
Cleaning the garage.
Mopping the floors. Yeah.
That kind of.
I remember when my parents finally dealt with me like becoming like the sass that I am because at one point it was a Saturday and my stepmom had handed me like all the tools I needed to weed the garden. I looked at the garden, looked at her. I was like, you know, for somebody who wants all these plants, you don't do any work for them, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, excuse me? I was like, you wanted the plants, you made me plant them. You want to keep the plants. I have to maintain the plants. Like I'm doing all the work for your benefit. Like I don't understand like any of this right now. And she's like, just go out and weed the garden. And I was like, fine, whatever. Right. So.
Yeah. My parents weren't the talk back type at all, or the question type, because
Mm-mm.
I learned from seeing what happened to my brother.
I was taught like time and place for it because
Yeah.
one of the things that my father was trying to teach me was not to be like a doormat, right? Especially because I was, I'm a woman, right? And so like sometimes people just like to stomp on women. And so one of the things that he taught me was like, like know when to push back. Like if something is like an actual injustice, right? Like go ahead and put your feet down and like, put the hands
Well,
up
yeah.
and throw, right? But like one of the things I found was like a lot of children were just conditioned to like head down, don't talk back, don't do anything. And like they always came out of like that experience with like, I want to say like the more troubled mindset. I don't know. That's my opinion.
We were taught to question things. We were just not taught. We were taught if our parents told us to do something, there was a time and place when to ask why. And usually it wasn't when they were telling us to do it. Later on you can say, hey, why, whatever. But usually if my parents were adamant about us doing something, they had a reason. And, but we could question about anything, like anything that we thought was wrong, things in the world. Like they taught us to think and have conversations about things and to read. My mother was an adamant about reading. Like she pushed reading so hard, and I'm grateful because I see it in our generation, but not as much in later generations. And which is sad because there's a lot you can learn from books. Even if it's a crappy book, you can still enjoy an hour or two.
Yeah, like overusing the word zestfully. That's always my favorite.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just we were feral. And my mom tried to teach me how to knit, but that didn't work because it was too complicated and there were 2 needles and I was fine using a hook to crochet and I didn't need to do no stinking knitting.
When I tried to learn how to
look at me
knit
now.
from my aunt, you're doing great. When I tried to learn how to knit from my aunt, she was actually really rude about it. And so like I just put the needles and yarn down and walked off. And she's like, we're not done. I was like, oh no, I'm done. Like I know like maybe in your head, like, when you are with family members, you get to be this way, but you don't get to be this way with me. Right. And so that was always weird, or at least for me, it was weird. And I go back to the whole Jerry Springer thing because I had one side of my family that was absolutely batshit crazy. So when anybody else tried to pull like something similar to that, I'd be like, nah, not dealing with that. And they were always like, well, we're related, so it should be okay for me to talk to you this way. I was like, it's okay for no one to talk to me this way. So.
I saw one thing I was watching today. This judge was yelling at this woman because I didn't get to hear the whatever motion she had put before to get her case dismissed. But evidently she used ChatGPT. And ChatGPT pretty much picked all the sovereign citizen talk and put in this motion for her. And the judge went off on her. And he's like, I don't know what's worse, the fact that you thought this was smart or that you believe this stuff and that you believe that you're above the law and you don't have to follow the law and you can do whatever. She goes, I don't believe that. Well, that's what your motion says. He goes, what did you get it from the internet? No. Well, where'd you get it? Well, from ChatGPT. He's like, that's the internet. He's like, you really need to get a lawyer because this kind of stuff is dangerous.
Critical thinking gone.
He goes, and if you keep putting these type of motions in, you're going to get, that's going to go on your record and it's going to affect outcomes of things and mental capacity tests and other things that you might not think you need. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't mean, but he just told her, he's like, you can't, no. He's like, you need a lawyer. I'm telling you, I can't give you legal advice, but I'm telling you, you need a lawyer. And there's nothing in your ChatGPT sovereign citizens that legally gets your case dismissed. So no.
Well, I mean, it's a vernacular thing as well, because it's like you can go from one industry to the other, still speak English, but because each industry has a different vernacular, like the word that you're thinking that you're using doesn't mean the same, right?
Right.
So like I have a friend that works for one company, right? and he asked me what I was doing. I was like, well, I'm writing product descriptions. And he was like, I thought you worked for a comic book company. I was like, I do work for a comic book company. And he's like, why are you doing products? And I was like, because we sell products. Like, what do you think I'm talking about? Right. But then in his industry, it's an intel report on certain individuals. So when I told him I was doing a product, right, he thought I was writing about people when I was actually writing about like a plushie.
People are not products.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how they describe it. Like,
I get it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I would never do that. Like if I use ChatGPT for like anything legal, it'd be like, what does this mean in English?
Yeah,
What
legal
does this
stuff,
actually mean?
you got to be careful.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he was just like, please tell me you don't believe what you put in your motion, because I'm seriously concerned if you do. And she's like, well, no, I just saw it and it said it would help me get my case dismissed.
Mm.
It's like, well, it's not. So
That's disturbing. I worked in the legal field for 10 years, whatever. And it's very precise and very specific. And I mean, a lot of times something can be thrown out for one wrong word,
Yeah, like we
It's
have that with our
scary.
creative contracts, right? Like for Ripison, we have a contract for every person that we work with, and it takes weeks of going back, and it's not even us like involved with it. It's the lawyers talking to each other
Mhm.
about wording.
Yep. Language is huge in the law.
yeah.
In a lot of things, I think probably in medicine, although I'm not a big fan of that industry right now, but
I should just become a doctor, because every time I try and talk to a doctor, I don't know, right? And I'm like, what did you go to 7-year school for?
right.
It's like, you want to say, well, what exactly do you know?
Right.
Yeah. I'll never forget, like when I joined the military and I actually had to go to urgent care for something. And the very first thing that doctor told me was kind of like, well, you're pregnant. And I was like, I can't be pregnant. And he was kind of like, well, I'm a doctor. I know things. And I was like, I have never had sex. So unless I am the second Mary, like you're wrong. And like there was a nurse in the room. She was trying so hard to not laugh. Yeah.
I just feel like they get stuck in, and this is, like a personal, whatever you call it. They get stuck in their way of thinking and tunnel vision, and they don't see anything else. Like, so David, I don't know, a couple months ago was having these headaches, real bad headaches. And so in his eye, it was hurting his eye. So we took him to the emergency room. They're worried about his blood pressure. That's all they were worried about. Now his blood pressure always runs high. Yes, it's a family thing, but it's always higher than, I mean higher than most.
Okay.
But that's all they focused on. And so meanwhile, you're focusing on this. Meanwhile, he still has a headache. You're making his blood pressure worse by
Higher,
all
yeah.
of the, and well, come to find out, he has a form of a cataract in his eye, which they didn't care. They didn't care. They wanted to send him down, an hour and a half away, overnight, do all these tests, do all this stuff, No, it's not his blood pressure. It's pressure in his eye. Maybe part of that is blood pressure, but not that only thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they just seem to have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
It's so, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I went to the urologist because I have like a recurring bladder issue, right? And so when I talked to my doctor, my primary doctor, I was like, look, I just need to get to the bottom of this and like move on, because like I'm literally not able to do certain things at this point, right? And so she gave me the referral, and I walked into the place and I was like, I'm here for I'm trying to do preventive care because I have a history of this. I would like to talk to somebody and see what my options are, right? Literally every time I was talking to somebody, like, do you have a UTI right now? I was like, no, I don't have a UTI. I'm here for, preventive care. Right. And they're okay, well, we're going to go ahead and do a culture and see what's going on. I was like, I don't have a UTI. There's no culture to take.
It's
and then
a
the doctor
consultation. Consultation.
Yeah. And then the doctor comes in and it's like, your results came back for, negative for a UTI. I was like, because I don't have one.
Because they get paid. They get paid to do that test. It's all about money with them.
Yeah. And then of course, like when I was talking to them and I shared, like, I'm a data driven person. I have charts, right? Like I spent like 3 months like tracking like my body stuff so that way I could provide data to the doctor to help them. And when I tried to give it to her, she's like, I can't do anything with this. And I was like, I bet you could. I bet you could look at it and tell me something, right? And she was like, no, you're going to need a CT scan. And I can't do anything until you actually have an issue with your bladder. And I was just like, I literally drove an hour to come and talk to you to hear, I don't know. So
Well,
I could be a doctor, guys. I could get paid mucho bucks to say I don't know, because if I did that in any other industry, I would be fired.
You would be fired immediately. Yeah.
yeah, medicine is
Frustrating. Yeah.
well, and it seems too. There's so much now in medical school. There's so many things that they have to be more concerned with regarding DEI and not telling people they're fat when they're fat. Hello, I know I'm fat. It's okay. You can tell me. I won't get offended. It's a health thing. I know. Things like that they're not actually doctoring, it seems, because they're too concerned to, all the other things they have to focus on. And now they're lessening the requirements for med school.
That made
in some cases.
Which is not going to help at all because it's already broken.
Huh? What'd you get?
All you have to do is visit somebody in the hospital or go to the cafeteria and see what the food choices are for diabetics. And you'll know everything you need to know about the healthcare system.
No, I remember. I used to have to cook that food on the line.
Yeah. And it's not it's not diabetic friendly. But they have insulin, so it's okay. Like, no, stop it.
But I think you hit it on the head too with like the billing thing as well, because like my doctor, when I was talking to her about things, she was just trying to be kind of like, well, let's do this and try that and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. I didn't know I was going to get charged for each of those things, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest and say she probably didn't know either, right? Because she just wrote the report and then sent it to accounting, and then they ended up billing it. Yeah. And so I think that gets in the way as well, because I did the copay, so I thought that was all I was going to have to get paid, and then I got like whomped with like a $300 bill. Like that is not incentive for me to come back and talk to doctors. I'm going to be like, it's like, I seem to be uncomfortable. Is it worth $300? Like, no, I think I think I'll just suffer a little bit. Like this right here, this thing right here, I broke my thumb, right?
Yeah, I remember you had your Dalek thumb thing.
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, but I broke my thumb, right? Did I go to a doctor? Did I go to urgent care? I was like, nah, I'll just take care of it here.
No, it's not going to, it's just going to give you a bill, and they're not going to do it. They'll tape your fingers together or something. Yeah.
What are they going to do? That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think I told the story before. Years ago, I had a horse break my nose in the paddock before a race. You know how horses throw their heads? Well, I was holding him so David could saddle him, and he came up and hit me in the nose. And I started gushing blood, right in the paddock, right on TV in front of everything. And so I go to the nurse to get cleaned up when the horse is on track. And she's like, you need to go to the hospital, and you need to, no. All they're going to do is shove a couple tampons up my nose. And then I'm going to get a bill for, however, 500, whatever later on. I can do that at home. Thank you.
Just fix my nose. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Just give me a tissue. Okay. I'm good.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yep. It is.
Yeah, and then insurance companies, like now, like if you're on a company plan and one of your members gets sick, like they turn around, it's like, oh, well, because one of your people is using our services more, we have to charge all of you more. It's like, no, that's kind of common.
That's not what insurance is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all these weird things that happen in Minecraft land.
In Minecraft.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Minecraft movie did better than Snow White.
Right?
I heard interesting things. Have you seen it?
No. I've heard it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Who was in it? Like somebody said
Jack Black and Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah, because I heard like some like I guess like some lady made a comment about Jason's on-set behavior and they removed her from the project.
Really?
Yeah, like a Valkyrie or something. Like I guess that was her name.
Do y'all see The Chosen beat Snow White?
I
They
mean,
did.
that's a low bar. I don't know if we
Very-
should be like comparing.
No, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
but
happy for the
For
chosen.
being
but, you know,
not a movie and not, not a mainstream,
I think it only made 5 million. Is that what I read somewhere?
Snow White.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
they're in-
they made like 160 million total, but they need to make like 800 to 900 to break even.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're in bad shape.
That's
Yep.
unfortunate. Maybe they'll learn from it.
They did it to themselves.
You're so
They-
optimistic.
Evidently, they've canceled their next live action Rapunzel because of it.
Who needed it? Who
They're
asked
probably
for
going
that?
to make it a bald chick,
Yeah, because the hair is not defining her or anything.
Right. That's probably what they did. What's it? That chick that was in Wicked, the one that's going to be Jesus now. They'll probably
No.
make her Rapunzel.
Oh, Cynthia and
I don't know
the
what her
black
name
lady,
is.
the black,
What do you
the
mean
black
they're
bald
making her
lady.
Jesus? What is this? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
some Hollywood Bowl or something production, and she's going to be Jesus.
Yep. The black bald chick. She's going to be Jesus.
I'm leaving. I'm going.
You need to leave more than just this chat.
You know, I'm gonna one day I always joke with my husband that we're just gonna disappear into like, the wilderness somewhere and maybe the world can just be crazy and we can just live peacefully with like bears and shit.
Yep. I thought
What was the book? Hatchet. It was about a kid named Brian, and there's 2 more books about it. And in the it's basically like this kid that was going to go visit his mom. He was flying there in a plane, and the pilot had a heart attack and ended up like crashing the plane out in the Canadian wilderness. And he like lived there for like a couple of months until they like found him. Like that's really condensed. There's more details.
Yeah.
But the 2 other books, there was like one where it was like he was trying to like readjust into like living in a city and was just like doing poorly, right? And so he was like, I can't deal with this, and he went off into the woods to like just go be with nature. And so sometimes like days like this, I'm like, you know what? That's not like that sounds so fucking appealing.
David likes to watch that Mountain Men on is it on Discovery?
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorite books as a child, and I've always been fascinated as a child by people stranded on desert islands it's called The Dream of the Blue Turtles. I don't know if anybody's read it. And it's about a girl on an island. And it's like Castaway, only better. And yeah, it would be good to be away from all the weird.
If you had plenty of yarn and needles and hooks, you could just veg and get a lot of work done. But yeah, it cracks me up, some of these things today. Some of these movies and things are just like, really, what were they thinking? I guess there's a new live action Scooby-Doo coming out, which
Thanks. No thanks. I'm good.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Thanks.
I don't know. It's pretty funny.
I started watching that Adolescence. And I
heard about that.
I know that the people in England are a little not happy with it because they kind of whitewashed it because the original story was not a white kid that did the crime. But if you don't know that, it's actually been good so far. I'm only on maybe episode 3. It's been good so far because you're learning about how social media is affecting children nowadays. And Andrew Tate was mentioned in it.
Oh, I wonder if they have to pay him royalties now.
I don't know.
He'll pay his legal bills, I guess. I don't know.
I don't like the fact that all the conservatives are jumping on his bandwagon because he's scummy.
Well, no, they're not they're saying that because I guess somebody called the kid an incel and the cop said, oh yeah, that's an Andrew Tate thing. The kids are watching him. So I'm like, oh, okay, if this brings to light what he's doing, then maybe
Mhm.
this is a good thing,
Yeah, he just, there's good people on both sides and bad people on both sides, and we can't pretend that otherwise.
Well, I mean, predators are going to find a way to get to what they want, and they have zero like integrity in doing it.
Mhm.
So,
And a lot of them, use their positions of authority. Like, I was watching this show that was talking about all the teachers with students, and I'm like, yeah, these are the same teachers who are okay with all the sexually charged books in the library because that's half the grooming for them. Because then
Yep.
the kids read those books,
Yeah,
and
that's-
then they're
yeah.
open to
Yeah.
teachers taking advantage of them. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean by predator, right?
cause and effect. Okay, like you can't
Yep.
get any. But I don't know.
Well, because it's like anytime like there's like a vulnerable population, right? And I say predator like in all the ways that it is. You're basically preying on whatever it is that you're targeting, right?
Right.
And yeah, they'll do whatever they have to do to get to it. And if they have to like get into a position of power or like get a job in a place that gives them access to it, like they'll do it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
people who are driven to do something will do whatever they have to, and it's like
They'll become whatever persona they need to
yeah,
get
and
what
then
they want.
there's a book, and I read it, and it's called The Gift of Fear, and I actually thought it was, it's a little white knighty in some places, but when you think about what this guy has to do all the time, I can't like be angry at him for like his perception and bias that shows up in some of the writing. But one of the things that he wrote in there that was really striking to me is that if we're driving a car, right? Like picture you're on the car and you're going down the freeway or something, and you take a look to the left and you see a car, and immediately you're like, that car's about to cut me off, right? No turn signal, no nothing. It's just going to come over into my lane, right? And it ends up coming true because like that's just what your instincts and what your experiences taught you, right? But when we run into a person and we have like, kind of like, I don't like this person, right? Like I've had like those moments where like, you are not good people, right? We start overthinking it because it's like, oh no, I don't want to be a bad person because I don't like somebody on the first time. And like I just got to a point where I'm not shy about doing that. Like I met one person and I was like, hey man, you and I can't be friends. And it was like, well, why? It's like, we're just not going to jive. Like it's just not happening. Right. And some people like might not like that, but I'll tell you what, every time I have done that, like usually within like a couple of weeks or months later, I find out that person was in fact not a good person.
I think it's a women thing. We're taught to be nice, we're taught to be sweet, and we're taught not to offend somebody when all your red flags are up, your intuition, whatever it is. And just like you, I've learned that every time I've ignored it, it's bitten me in the ass.
Yeah.
It's a thing. You have instincts for a reason.
Well, and and that's the thing. And they go after, police officers with the, stop and search, that kind of thing. A lot of it is, yes, it's profiling, but it's instinctual. And sometimes, your brain hasn't caught up to what your body's telling you when something's wrong, something's suspect. And it's not necessarily against a particular race or particular person. It's just your gut's telling you something. And from all the experience that you've had, to trust your gut on it. And women have been taught to pay attention to what's going on around you. Don't put yourself in bad situations. I would never blame a victim who gets assaulted. However, if a victim puts himself in a bad situation, wearing inappropriate clothing, putting off signals that they're interested in something that they may not be interested in, they have to accept some not blame but responsibility for the situation. That's why you're responsible for where you put yourself.
Yep.
And I'm not victim blaming. I never would, but you also have to not give off signals and not,
Like one of the things I never do is I don't run in the dark, right? Like I just refuse to run in the dark. I've got long hair, it's in a ponytail. This makes a really convenient thing to grab, right?
Right.
And anytime I do run somewhere, it's on a main road and it's usually a camera somewhere.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you just can't put yourself.
Which goes back to like, how did we make it to this point? Because like when we were kids, we used to run around in the dark, right? Like we had no fear, but now we're
cautious. I will tell you what happened. All the serial killers in the 70s, That's what happened. Because all those women were out there not having situational awareness and getting grabbed, and you know what I mean? Because that was when we can hitchhike, we can do anything we want. It's fine. And how many women who hitchhiked or something, got picked up by some stranger to get a ride home never came home because
Hitchhiking's so
it was,
dangerous.
women's
It's-
empowerment, and
Yeah.
they stopped with situational awareness. And now a lot of women didn't have a choice. I'm not blaming them, but I think a lot of it's because of so many of those cases, it made women more liable to pay attention now.
What was
I
I
don't know.
doing?
It's a scary world.
That's why
Go
I stay
knit.
at my house most of the time.
Well,
Stay home
yeah,
and
it's so crazy too. Because like when I went to like that meetup in Florida, right? Somebody like offered me a drink, and I was kind of like, I can't take it. And they were like, "Well, I just bought it for you." I was like, "Hey," and I appreciate it, but I didn't see it get poured, so I can't
Right.
take it. You
Nope.
know.
Yeah,
And he got upset with me, and I was kind of like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we told both my children when they started
Oh,
going out to
yeah.
places like that. You never leave your drink, and you never drink anything that you didn't watch being poured.
Nope.
And like my son, when he goes out, he'll drink mixed drinks more if they're just sitting at the table drinking. But if they're up dancing, whatever, he will
Nope.
only drink from a bottle, fresh bottle.
Mhm.
yeah,
And
yeah,
my daughter
like,
knows the same thing too, like because
Yeah.
you don't know.
Mm-mm.
yeah. And when I do go and I drink, like if I actually intend to drink, it's always from a bottle, so I can put my thumb over the top.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, predators, for making us all paranoid.
I'm okay. Nobody wants to snatch me up, so I just
I saw the thing. It was one of the parenting memes where the mom said, stranger danger, teaching her kids stranger danger. And she's like, the little 5-year-old, like, Mommy, you don't have to worry about that. Nobody wants a 36-year-old.
no. And I'm way past 36. No, nobody.
You know?
No. And they probably give me back. So
Oh, come on. If the sparkly yarn truck showed up at your house offering free yarn,
I would get in. Yeah,
you'd get in.
I'd be in the well. I would. I'd be in the well with the little dog.
Yep.
Hey, mister, I got your dog.
Yeah, the whole don't help a stranger find their dog was part of our childhood too.
Yes.
You remember, don't take any food or candy from strangers. Don't help any.
puppy? You want to see my puppy? Oh,
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I thought that being on fire would happen a whole lot more. The whole stop, drop, and roll thing.
Yeah,
I was lied to.
Yeah. And what about quicksand? Like, wasn't that supposed to be a bigger threat than it actually is? Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed. I've never.
Yeah,
experienced
Joe was just
quicksand.
getting us ready.
in quicksand. You know.
I from our childhood, we thought it was going to happen quite often.
Plus, Pitfall Harry was going over to quicksand all the time.
Yeah,
I've never
a
come
lot of
across
things that they warned us about haven't come true. But yeah, it's you warn your kids.
Yep.
And it used to be you warned them more because you were worried about their physical safety. Now you need to be just
Ugh.
much more concerned about their mental safety
Mhm.
because the internet is what it is, and social media is. Anytime you have people who think their life revolves around their followers is not necessarily a good thing.
Put down your phone. I've told
Yeah.
David for years. The fall of society has been the phone. Not even the internet, because there's people that stay on their desktop, in their whatever.
That's
But
me.
the phone.
Yeah,
What?
I mean, except the landlines when
No,
we were
but
younger.
you're not.
Because you could only stay on so long before either your mother kicked you off or some other kid's mom kicked them off.
You pick up the phone because you're on a dial-up line. You pick up the
Right.
phone and throw somebody off. I've been guilty of that.
Yeah. Cassie was afraid of Castro and Jeffrey Dahmer as a kid. Yeah, except you're not Jeffrey Dahmer's type.
I was afraid of Charles Manson.
I was too. I was afraid of the Manson family. I thought they were going
They're
to
going to
come.
creepy crawl me. Yeah.
Probably should not have read Helter Skelter at 9 years old. But you
I was
know,
reading Stephen King, Helter Skelter, all the, yeah.
I was a precocious kid. I like to read a lot.
There's
But-
rabid dogs out there. There's cars that drive around and kill you. And
Yeah, but we were taught, don't take candy or food from a stranger, and no adult needs a kid's help. If an adult's
clowns.
coming asking you
Clowns
for
are
help,
bad.
clowns.
Pennywise
Yeah.
is bad.
Pennywise was bad.
They all float down here.
Yeah.
And then there was
clown
the one
thing.
about the super flu that wiped out all the people.
Oh, I remember the super flu.
And it
You
was the
know.
government that released it on people.
That sounds too close to home.
Yeah. And
I'm
meanwhile,
still-
the dude who wrote that book is still like all Fauci, and he loves the government, loves Fauci, loves all. I'm like, dude, you wrote the book about it. What are you doing?
I'm
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the things that we worried about, and I'm still trying to figure out why going underneath the desk in class was going to save us from a nuclear attack.
Well,
But we had the
It's like
drills
people in their cars, like,
The
last-
same reason why in their drills for like, if there's a school pew pew person, they're kind of like, okay, yeah, go ahead and just like huddle all the kids like in the corner. I was like, that's called a soft target.
that makes
yeah,
a
make
big
them a
target.
bigger target to
Yeah, no,
I'm moving targets harder to hit. Okay.
yeah. Well, no, because what I did, and it got me in trouble. I got in trouble a lot as a teacher. Like it was a thing.
Oh,
But what I did was I bought a whole bunch of baseballs from like, the store, right? And so when I was supposed to tell all the kids to huddle in the corner, I was like, I have this baseball bat and you guys have baseballs. So if somebody kicks in the door, I want you to throw the balls and I'm going to kill them with the bat, right? That's what I told them. And it was amazing because only one kid was like, what if I don't want to throw a baseball? I was like, you can hide under my desk right there, right? You can
but
do
it gave
that.
the kids some agency and less likely to fear
Yeah.
if they thought that there was something they could do.
Yeah, and then the thing that got me was like my vice principal like came and like talked to me about it. I was like, that's not appropriate. I was like, man, I'll tell you what, break into my room when you do this drill. We'll see how you feel about it.
What ages did you teach, Carol?
I taught 6th grade up to 9th grade.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and so
The
like
fun
they never,
age.
yeah, so they never came into my room, but every time we had the drill, like they knew where the box was, they got it, they handed out the balls, and they scattered across the room, and they were just kind of sitting there ready, right? And I was by the door, like with the bat, and I was kind of like, I'll just bludgeon them to death. We'll figure it out, guys.
I don't know. My favorite was the best marketing campaign ever for a sequel movie. Just when you thought it was safe to get back into the water,
Yes.
when Jaws 2 came out.
Yep. That was a
think they
great
were-
marketing campaign.
And
I
they'd see
think I was
people
afraid of headaches.
I'm very sad that there was no quicksand. I mean, I don't want to be in quicksand, but I like to
No,
at least,
but
You're ready.
See it
I
sometimes.
thought it was going to be more of a thing than it actually is.
I wonder what
Yeah.
was going on, like in their minds. It was like we have to warn the children about quicksand. Like, how many of us were dying in quicksand?
It's like every TV show that we watched as children had quicksand at some point. Or
Yeah, it was a
I'm gonna
danger.
Google this now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, was there a reason that they were on there?
No, but
You
it
know?
was like a real fear.
It
Quicksand.
was.
I've never come across it ever.
Nope. I mean, I know it exists, but
It does
You know.
exist because I saw a thing the other day where some guy got caught in quicksand, and everybody's like, "Wow, okay,
that actually happens. I know
Yes.
what to do.
we know
I
what
know
to do."
do.
Like, stop, drop, and roll. We gotta,
Yeah. Yeah, I've not been exposed to as many fires that I needed to stop, drop, and roll.
No,
Um,
I mean,
but it was good to know. It was
been
good to
on-
know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy. So I don't know. World's crazy. Sit and knit and crochet. Use up some yarn. Make yourself happy. Make yourself some stuff. Make stuff for the babies.
make some yarn. I'm thinking about. I'm gonna spin soon. I want to spin.
Read books.
Read books. Read
Spin
all.
yarn. Don't say that out loud, Therese, because then you'll
What?
have to teach Neil and Tabitha that you're going to spin.
I can't. You can't teach somebody over the internet. You can't do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you
I
could.
don't have an answer, but for some reason, like in the 80s, like us as Americans were just afraid of quicksand.
Yeah, 70s
Yeah.
and 80s
Like,
was
like there's
Well, it was in a
cartoons,
lot
they
of
put
the
it in
TV
movies.
shows.
Yeah, it was in kids'
mean-
cartoons, it was in westerns, it was like they put it in adult films.
Yeah, I thought when I moved out to
Wait,
the west,
what?
there would be
No.
more. There
Yeah,
would be
no,
more
that was
quicksand
like
because
a-
it seemed
yeah.
like there always was, but no. At the
Hmm.
desert, there's no quicksand. I mean, sand has its own issues, but I've never seen quicksand out here in the desert. So,
But don't
Mhm.
worry, if I ever find quicksand, I know how to get out of it.
well, there you go.
I'm
Yes.
ready. G.I. Joe taught me. I'm ready.
And knowing is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
Thank you for
Hey.
picking that up.
Those are very educational, and the little
Where?
morals at the end. Well, that's because of the whole cartoon thing that the cartoons had to have a moral thing.
They need to bring back Schoolhouse Rock, and they need to play it in Congress because those people have no idea. They have no idea. I know more than Congress does about how Congress works.
I'm just a bill.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what's scary is you see congressmen and women and
have no
senators
idea.
being interviewed, and they'll ask them a question and they have no clue. Like, I'm sorry, that's not how the Constitution
Wow, that's
works.
another job that gets paid to not know anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty
Let's
much.
go run for government. Let's go. I
And
bet
some-
we would thrive.
Some activist dude who's going to run for the Democrats is now claiming that we shouldn't have any laws before the Civil Rights Act because none of them are constitutional.
Oh yeah, I saw that guy. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, okay, whatever.
Who made those talking points? Who made those talking points?
He did because he said we were an apartheid country, so none of the laws
Oh,
counted. I'm
Somebody
like,
wrote that. I bet somebody chat GPT'd that too.
He probably got the idea from that, And yeah, all the kids' cartoon shows, kids were in a lot of danger, like Johnny Quest and all our kid cartoon shows.
neglecting Johnny Quest.
Yeah, but Johnny could. Hey, Haji knew what he was doing. Okay, he got
Haji,
Johnny out of a
You can't
lot
get
of
away
stuff.
with calling him Haji now.
Haji.
That was his name.
That was his
But you
name.
couldn't do it.
And then he had
now.
Mike Pence. The guy was Mike Pence.
I know, Mike. Rick.
I don't know.
Turner, think
I
was his
remember
name.
I was talking about Johnny Quest with somebody. I mentioned Haji, and like I had this Karen got on me. I was like, his name is fucking Haji. Like she had no idea.
And his
My
dad, who
husband's
I was
best
never
friend.
quite sure what his dad did,
Yeah.
but people were always after him for whatever his dad did.
Well, they had Ace, like his detective, and then like his dad that was always researching stuff. It was the researching thing. Like, what exactly are you researching? It's like, we got to go into these mines and tombs and caves. And it's like, what's down here? Why are we here?
Well, cartoon kids never had parental supervision, which totally explains South Park because they
Okay. Peanuts.
those
Peanuts.
kids went.
There's one adult, and it's the teacher.
the teacher. Yeah,
These kids are 5 and 6, 4, 5, and 6 years old, and they're just walking around making dinner. Like
hey, they made popcorn and toast for Thanksgiving.
that
and
was
jelly
the
beans.
dog. The dog made that.
The dog was a better cook than the rest of them. What can I say? Yeah.
Is that true?
yeah.
Ranger, maybe some food.
Hey, South
Didn't
Park.
work.
The kids went to
No,
space. They went on trips all the time without parents, and their parents
Where's
never
going-
knew. Like, let's go on this spaceship, or let's go to Ethiopia to return.
And Kenny kept getting
Starvin'
killed.
Marvin.
And then,
Oh, Kenny.
nobody cared.
Like
The
he-
live action.
But then one time they like permadeathed him, and I was like,
I
no,
know.
you've like broken the whole brand.
You can't kill Kenny forever.
No.
Kenny's parents were kind of messed up. Not gonna lie. But I guess the reboot of King of the Hills being filmed.
No.
Even it's all the
No,
same
no.
voice actors except the guy who played Dale, who died.
No. And
Dale-
Louis. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dale was my favorite.
Oh, I love Dale. And guess
Him
what?
and
He was
Boomhauer.
absolutely right, wasn't he?
Him and Boomhauer, the
Right
federal
about
agent. Yeah.
Ugh,
But yeah,
I
and
love
also, I guess they're bringing back American Dad too,
Ugh. Ugh.
which I never watched that one.
Ugh. That and Futurama. Ugh.
Uh,
No.
Futurama was
Well, I
good
mean, okay,
earlier on.
Matt has confessed many times that if he can make money off of something, he's gonna keep doing it. So
Well, hey, it's a
Matt,
grift, and
like
if it
we're
works
friends.
for him,
I've never met Matt.
Hey, it's his grift. If it works for him, go for it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. I
Yeah,
think
that's
we're
fine.
probably done. Since we
How are
keep,
we at the time?
well, we keep stopping talking about knitting, so we probably ought to.
We
And
haven't
I
talked
pro-
about knitting for a while.
And I promised Therese we wouldn't be as long today. So
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's fine. I always tell her, I'm like, you know what? Can we just be short this tonight? Because I'm not feeling good, and the weather, and then we end up 3 hours. Like
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay.
We're having such a
you.
good time.
it's
We
us.
are. It's us. We're
It's
old.
us.
We're old and tired, and
that,
haven't
and
had
we've
dinner.
No,
missed
you
you,
sparkle.
Carol.
Don't say that about yourself.
We've
You
missed the sparkle, Carol. We
I
haven't
know,
seen
we
you for a
did.
while.
I haven't seen
sorry.
I
you.
thought you didn't like us anymore.
No, I have to adult when I
She
don't
has to do life stuff.
She has to spread her sparkles amongst all the people.
Yeah, and be like sassy to my boss online in a stream. That's my favorite thing to do.
Well, he probably deserves it.
But your boss is pretty chill, so
Yeah, that's
You
why.
guys missed it because like on the stream that we did for the closeout for like the Ripazine that's got my story in it, right? Yeah, he said like the most nicest things to me. I was like, listen, we gotta do this more often. Like my self-esteem needs it.
It's almost as if like my boss on a daily basis doesn't tell me these things.
Yeah.
Well, they don't. They're so big. He's very busy, so I get it.
Yeah.
He was so tired.
so
Like
great.
I took one look at him. I was like, you look exhausted. And he's like, we got to get the work done. That's just how he is, right?
Mr.
Well, see,
Hustle.
and that's the thing.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the thing
hustling.
that kills me is all the critics, that go after him, and he works 10 times harder for his dream and his vision than they ever did for theirs, and then they bitch him home when they're not successful.
I
Like,
know,
he
because
put-
it's his fault.
he
You know,
didn't
he
just-
invented shipping. Did you know that?
I know, crazy. And owning your own warehouse. Who thought of these things?
Wow.
You
Wow.
know,
You,
crazy.
I won't distract us anymore. I'm sorry.
no,
No,
it's
it's okay.
fine. No, we love your boss. He's awesome.
He is.
I
and
wish
it's a
more
great
people
company.
were like him. Yeah, he's great. He's a great guy.
And
And
doing it for
I'm
things-
just so happy for his success because
I know.
I mean he put himself out there and it could have went the other way.
Yeah, I remember when he announced that he was gonna like do the comic. Like I wasn't in the stream. I was in the chat in the stream, and he was like, "I'm gonna do this thing." Like he put his shoulders back and like puffed his chest out a little bit, and I was and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make my own comic," and everybody was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh dear, like I don't know what's gonna happen." And then he did like that
Magic
call.
happened. Yes.
Yeah, because he did that call, and he's like, "Hey, can you take a day off work to help me?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, why not?"
Yeah. I'm so.
And now history has been made.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So good for him.
I'm so proud of him. I also like job security. It makes me feel
Well,
good.
there's that. That's always a good thing.
I love that all the people in his world and around, the whole fellowship, because Drunk 3PO, he's doing great with his books. And, just I love seeing people be successful that are not part of the machine.
You want to see something hilarious? Go watch Jeremy's Snow White review while he's driving. While he's speeding.
That was amazing. Yeah,
While
and then
he
he's
was
like having
speeding.
road rage. He's like doing the review, driving, and
yelling
road
at the
rage.
cars. It was awesome.
So funny.
It's like, are you more mad about the movie or about the cars driving around you?
I was watching like through his window. I was like, bro, gotta be doing like 90, like just watching stuff like zoom by.
And he didn't even, doesn't slow down the review whatsoever. Just like, hang on, and then a stupid idiot behind him. Just keep going. It was really good, but you know what? I'm glad that people like them have been able to change the narrative and fight back against the woke crap. And they said it was going to be a bad movie. They said why it was going to be a bad movie. Guess what? They were right.
Yeah. And I'm seeing Gary on more and more shows, like on Fox.
I know he's Piers Morgan.
He's been on Glenn Beck. He's been on, all different stuff. And I'm like, I'm sitting there watching a show, and all of a sudden they're like, "Here's Gary from Nerdrotic." I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? In a good way. It's good.
I agree.
Well, I finally got a response from the the yarn dyer said they'll ship
Oh.
this week, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, happy
Yay.
ending.
We'll see. Hopefully, but that's
We
always
love a
good.
happy ending here.
Yay.
Customer service is always a good thing.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, thanks you
All right.
guys.
Well,
Thanks,
thanks,
chat. Please
Sarah.
like and subscribe.
Not
Thanks
like
for coming
us.
to the short stream that was never short. It was great.
When is Just Eat Bacon coming online?
I don't know because
Bacon.
my co-host is a helicopter pilot and on call. So like every time I think like we have a window, it doesn't happen. So I think we might just have to leave it in like the dreamland for now.
Aw.
So I know.
Well, I'll continue to eat bacon on your behalf.
Yeah,
you
me too.
should. You
It's
should.
a service that I provide.
You know, I
It's
might
bacon.
take that shirt I made and just like make it public. So if you guys just want to wear a Just Eat Bacon shirt, you can. Because
Oh, I need one.
okay, well,
I need
okay,
one.
okay, I'll take care of that. I'm gonna do it tomorrow, not tonight, because I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Bacon is one of the best
Bacon
food
is-
groups out there.
Sorry, Carrie Smith, but no, bacon is the thing.
I love bacon.
Well, what else are pigs for?
I know.
Other than
Well,
food.
they're for pork butt, and they're for ham hocks,
What?
and they're for sausage.
Well, I mean, other than food. I mean,
Organ transplants?
yes,
that too.
yes.
Not as often though.
No,
Plus they're pets. They can be pets.
they can. I've heard.
Well, I
about
know they can, but I mean, really, they're for the food.
that. Wilbur.
Wilbur.
Well, except Wilbur. Wilbur was a smart pig.
He's a fine pig. He's
He
a
was a fine.
fine pig.
Yeah, he was.
Readers.
All right,
All the
I need to go
readers.
eat dinner because I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
Me too. I got a ball game to watch pretty soon.
Oh yeah, my son's watching the Final Four, or will be when they come on.
No, no, I got a
So-
baseball game playing Arizona, so it's a late game.
Those sun people. Strange.
Yeah,
Strange.
my son's
Arizona?
gotten into college basketball.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah. I'm mildly interested.
I grew up, that was the big sport in my house. And my husband wasn't interested, and none of my kids were, so it was not something that. And now my son has gotten into it because somebody he knows is into it.
Growing up,
Basically-
baseball was my, yeah.
Well, they're in their friend group, there's two Johns, and it got awkward calling John and the one answering, the not answering, and then they didn't like being called by their last name so much. So when Duke played Arizona, where the other kid goes, the winner of the game, whoever's team won, got to be called by their first name, and the other one has to be called by their last name. So he was very happy when Duke won because my dad went to Duke, so his grandfather went to Duke. So
I'm sorry.
that got him involved in it.
I'm sorry. I'm a Maryland fan, and we don't do Duke.
I know. Well, we normally do NC State, but when State's not playing, we can pull.
I
for
get
Duke.
it.
That's
I
the rule.
get it.
'Cause
I get it.
my dad and brother both went to NC State, so
I get it.
there's rules to college basketball.
There's rules to all sports. There's rules. There's rules.
I know. My son. We were talking. My son's like, I know you couldn't really pull for Philadelphia, Mom, because I know it's against the law for you Giants fans. I'm like, sweetie, I was pulling for Philadelphia, and
Well, yeah,
and,
because we're
because they were
anti
playing
other
Yeah,
team. Yeah.
exactly. I'm like, I said there are exceptions to the sports team rule.
And it
okay?
killed me. It killed me to root for Philadelphia because I know a lot of Philadelphia fans and they are
Joe.
obnoxious. They're
Joe.
obnoxious. There's a reason why they have a jail in their freaking stadium, okay? Because the fans are obnoxious.
That is true.
But the obnoxiousness was more on the other side this time.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Well, we got a whole nother year, so we'll see what happens.
Did you just tag me? What?
Yes. To remind people to watch this if they weren't watching the live.
Geez, we haven't even finished.
I know, but if I don't
You're-
do it, I didn't remember to do
you're
it
on
last week
point.
until like 4 hours later. So if I
I'm
do,
getting notifications that we finished our podcast and we haven't finished.
well, we're almost
phone's
done.
Blowing up.
I
Sorry.
need to go to bed. End it quick.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks everybody.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
We'll be back on
Thanks,
Monday.
Carol. Thanks, chat.
Thanks for coming.
thanks for coming. Like and subscribe. Go watch all our
Like,
friends
do all
and their
those
podcasts. So
stuff.
knit stuff, crochet
Yeah.
stuff.
Make stuff.
Yeah, hooker.
Spin stuff. Crochet stuff.
Bye.
Bye bye.